Hello, Snugglebugs. Welcome to today's card review for Whizbangs Workshop. For today, we're going to be looking at the warrior cards. And first up here, we have the epic card, Chemical Spill, a 5-mana spell, which is summon the highest cost minion from your hand and deal 5 damage to it. Now, I mean, this could just be good in a multitude of ways. You could either have Death Rattle or just a big static minion. You could try to use this with like your Gromash to just slam 5 mana, 10 damage face if that's anything you have in your hand. I will say personally, there's a few things in the new set that I think this goes along with, which we will see. There's a legendary minion that when it takes damage, you get some stuff, could be good. There's some death rattle synergies, which means that you could intentionally be summoning something, killing it off just to get the death rattle, and all those fun things. So at blatant value, this obviously doesn't look fantastic because you're just summoning something and then potentially destroying it. But you have to look at the value in dealing damage to your own things, as well as a 5-mana way to get out potentially, say, up to 10-mana minion, right? Could be really strong. So I think if there is a deck that fits this, this would be a great card. I don't know if it's good enough for other, there might not be other options, so we'll have to wait and see. So for me, this is probably just a middle of the road card, niche scenario, more than likely. But the next we have Safety Goggles, which is to me is the exact opposite. I think this is an almost guaranteed play in most warrior decks, at least at the while there's only the one set for the year out. As things come out, maybe not. But a 2-mana gain 6 armor, not bad in its own right. We used to have 1 mana gain 5, 3 mana gain 8 today. I know that is tradable, but still. But you gain 6 armor, but then it costs 0 if you don't have any armor. Things that cost 0. Fantastic. Think if you're against aggro, they're constantly breaking your armor. All of a sudden you have a free, you don't have to worry about choosing armor up and say playing a minion of your own or like a draw card because your armor up is free. And then like I said, worst case scenario, 2 mana to gain 6 armor. If you're already ahead and have armor for defense, isn't a big deal, or you're probably just using that to hero power unless you have 4 mana left over. So I think this is great, and we'll see a patron here in a bit. Spoiler alert. Soon, actually. I think next. Boom. Yep. Lab Patron. That I think is going to go really good with that card. Because it's a 3/3. The first time you gain armor this turn, summon another Lab Patron. So let's say you play this on 4. Safety Goggles for free because you have no armor. All of a sudden you have a 2-card combo that gives you 2 3/3s that has a continuation effect, 6 armor. And I guess, yeah, your opponent has to deal with both of your lab partners in one go. Yeah, it's just really strong. Right? I think that's just, I don't know. I like Lab Partner. I want to figure out, because I don't know. If you do in the comments, let me know. But I'm concerned that the copy that comes from this effectively will gain this effect, but won't count your first armor gain already. So if you have 2 ways to gain armor, as an example, you'll still get 3 Lab Patrons. I like the way they worded it so you won't get 4. Like won't keep going. But even if you can get 3, it could be strong. So I'll have to wait and see how that looks. But even right now, I think this is a great, fantastic card. I don't think this will be included in every warrior deck, but we'll definitely find a home. Then we have Quality Assurance. So I liked the Taunt package that came out, mid-year last year. Played it a few times on the channel. I think other people seem to like it. So a 2-mana spell that just draws you 2 Taunt minions, I think is really good. I don't see... I mean, obviously you're not going to play this in a warrior deck that doesn't have Taunt minions, but just an auto include in your Taunt in the warrior deck. So if that stays good or gets better, then there you go. Speaking of Taunt, warrior, mech, death rattle, all the stuff I was talking about kind of before with other cards, we have the testing dummy. Look at that. He's a happy guy. Happy person. Happy dummy. 6 mana, 4/8 with Taunt. Honestly, decently statted. It is a mech, so you might have some mech synergies there. And then Death Rattle, deal 8 damage, randomly split among all enemies. So, like, I don't know. I think for its stats and that Death Rattle, that's really good. And then we know the Taunt package has a lot of buffs, so this could get stronger. We've seen ways to cheat it out and do some damage to itself so you get its Death Rattle off earlier. Things like that with Corrosive Spill. Again, I don't think this is great with Corrosive Spill, but that's a whole other conversation. I think this is going to be one of the highlighted cards for me. Anyway, I'm super pumped. Super pumped for this. To go along with your Warrior Death Rattle mech package here, you have the 5-mana 5/5 mech Fire Worker, which is a Death Rattle summon 2 1/1 Boombots. Warning, your boom bots may explode. So I guess for maybe people who aren't aware, because I think boom bots kind of come in and out, boom bots are 1/1 with death rattle, deal 1 to 4 damage to a random enemy. So I mean, like a 5 mana 5/5 isn't greatly statted. Obviously, we would like to see it as a 5 mana 5/6 or a 5 mana 5/7 when it comes to stats. However, and of course, those are still, neutral stats and no immediate battle cry. However, the boom bots are quite valuable. We've seen that in the past, especially if you try to find ways to get multiple boom bots out. You trigger all the death rattles at once. Yes, the damage is random, but we've all had those moments where the boom bots just like you get 3 or 4 of them or whatever, and they hit your face at the same time somehow for 3 or 4 damage each, and that adds up really quickly. So there could be some danger, especially with the card that we looked at where you summon the copy and then it attacks and then dies. So I mean, 3 mana would effectively resummon this. You get your 5/5. It dies, gives you 2 boom bots. So I would still say that's better used with the 8 damage mech death rattle guy, of course. But I think this just plays a good, a nice little middle ground. And kind of on the same note as that spell, we actually here have Inventor Boom, an 8 mana 7/7 battle cry. Resurrect 2 friendly mechs that cost 5 or more. So that could be either one of the 2 mechs or some other ones, but I'm thinking mainly these 2 death rattle mechs that we were looking at. But then they immediately attack random enemies. So you have a couple different things here. Is either they act as a value clear, you get that 5/5, it attacks 4/4, it lives, and then it dies later, or hopefully it makes good trades and then they die and then activates their death rattle effects again, either dealing 8 damage randomly or summoning 2 boom bots each if it's the last guy that we just looked at that comes back and dies. My opinion is, again, if the deck as a package works, which I'm kind of hoping it does, because this, I don't know, I just like the synergy. I like Dr. Boom. I know this is Inventor Boom, but who knows, for fun, even though it probably isn't a good call at all, actually. So no, we probably won't play Dr. Boom in here. I think he's still in standard, but no one plays him anymore, even though he was absurdly OP when he first came out. So that's just one of those weird things where the game has changed a lot over time. But anyway, back to the Inventor. 8 mana 7/7. You get 2 5 costs back. Let's say you even get 2 5/5. So this is effectively 8 mana 17/17 almost minimum in stats, plus the death rattles of the 2 things and immediate attacks with the 2 things. So as long as you're playing, say, 2 to 4, probably at least 3 to 4, maybe 5 cost or higher mechs, whether you're playing the whole mech package with the death rattle stuff. This is just a good card anyway. It's just a good board control-y card. So I just think this is, again, I know I don't do the star ratings, but I would say if I had to, this would be a 5-star card, in my opinion. This could just be played in any warrior deck. It doesn't have to necessarily be based, has to have the mechs in it, of course, but doesn't have to be purely based around that. On the same note, here we have the 3 mana spell from Warrior, Recommendecum, which is, oops, sorry, that's probably loud. Choose a friendly mech, summon a copy of it that attacks a random enemy, and then it dies. So, let's say we have either this survived, we cheated it out, or even when we're at 9 or 10 mana, we play this, we copy it with Recommendecum, it summons a copy of it, it attacks something, hopefully kills that something, and then when it dies afterwards, it does 8 damage. I'm going to bounce around a lot here. But again, this doesn't say minions. So if, your opponent has a 4/4, I'm not saying they will, because this is obviously an ideal scenario, you play the testing dummy, Recommendecum, it trades, kills their minion, or their face, actually, because again, it could go face if they have nothing on board, and then it dies and deals 8 damage to their face. So this could not only be a one trade card, it could also be an 8 damage face. And I'm focusing only on the one card that we've looked at. There's probably other options, right? And we'll get into that here in a minute as well. Sorry. But then we also have the Boom Wrench, which is a 4 mana 3/2 weapon. So stat wise, not great. It does have miniaturize, which I think this is our first card looking at miniaturize. So to explain what that means is after you play it, you get a 1/1 copy that costs 1 with the exact same effect. So it'll be here. Yeah, there's a little Boom Wrench. So you can instantly trigger it, and then it has death rattle, trigger the death rattle of a random friendly mech. So let's say you played this, next turn, probably you coin the guy we were just looking at, you punch with the Doom Wrench, you do 8 damage. You play the miniaturize, or even I guess you keep this, you play the miniaturized version, you punch once, because if you have enough mana, technically this death rattle goes off, that death rattle goes off, triggering your minion twice, boom, you deal 16 damage. I think there's going to be ways that you can stack these 8 damages up to try to do like Astalor level OTKs to your opponent, but with death rattles, and I'm excited. I'm excited. And we're going to go back a little bit to the other legendary that was at the start, but we wanted to save it to the end. Now, even though I personally don't know how good this is going to be, because we'll have to wait and see, I guess, how good the minis truly are. A 3 mana, or frig, 9 mana, 3/9 taunt mech. So again, maybe this is why I think the corrosive spill could be kind of good with bot face, right? So to me, this isn't fantastic. You know, your opponent clears this without it actually taking damage sometimes. If they do 1-for-1, 9 mana to get 2 minis, you'd have to be pretty lucky for the minis to be good, in my opinion, to make this worth it. However, if you start trying to line this up with your self-damaging cards, you know, we do the thing where you summon it, like I said, with the corrosive spill, boom, chemical spill, keep calling it corrosive, sorry. All of a sudden, it's a 5 mana for 4 with taunt that gives you 2 minis right off the hop. That might give you 2 more minis later. So it becomes a little bit better, right? So I do think there's potential here. And again, we don't know what all the minis are yet, I don't believe. So once we see what those are, if the odds are you get a bunch of really powerful 1-mana cards, even if you only get 1 or 2 triggers, you know, 4 minis, right? That could be good enough. It's just, I'll admit, as of right now, I'm not super excited about this card, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, I'm excited for the Mech Death Rattle package. I mean, obviously, I'll give Bot Face a good try. Who knows? Maybe I'm mistaken on that. Control Warrior's been big for a while now, so I wouldn't even be entirely surprised if this is one of those, hey, it's really fun, but we didn't want to give them anything too crazy. Plus, the Death Rattle mech stuff, I think, has some serious potential, which I'll be trying probably day one. That's probably going to be a day one deck for me. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Warrior cards we went over today. I think Paladin will be the next cards that are being revealed, and I'll be making a video on that once they're all done. So let me know what your thoughts are, in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.